Hello again, viewers. I'm back with the presidency from State House on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation (SLBC), where we go beyond just the ordinary daily news reports about the office of the president. My name is Hawa Mosiri. In this week's edition, Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada launches the Sierra Leone Health Village, turns the sword for the construction of the Outcome Modern General Hospital at Kerry Town. President Julius Maada also has participated as one of the co-chairs for this year's high-level replenishment conference on peace building. The chairperson of the African Union Commission has described Sierra Leone as a stable country amidst the challenges the country has gone through. All these and more in this edition of the presidency. President Julius Maada has launched the Sierra Leone Health Village and turned the sword for the construction of an ultra modern general hospital at Kerry Town, Western Rural Districts. President Bio also emphasized that they are following through on their New Direction Manifesto promise and the medium-term national development plan to increase affordable access to quality health care service delivery. He added that the goal also aligned with a central plan of the human capital development priorities, access to quality health care, and the Sustainable Development Goal 3 on delivering good health and well-being to Sierra Leoneans. President Bill said that his government had been able to continue to deliver increased care for other diseases, even though the COVID-19 pandemic. He recalled that for healthcare infrastructure, they had commissioned 380 beds in 4 new hospitals in Kailaun, Hanga, Rokupa, and at the Kinhaman Road, adding that they had also commenced the construction of 360 beds in 3 facilities in Jojima in Kailaun District, Lower Bambara and Lower Banta Chiefdom in Moyamba District, and 100 additional beds at the 34 Military Hospital in Freetown.
We have recruited and trained nearly 6,000 additional healthcare workers. Improved conditions of service for them, and will soon provide diagnostic laboratories in all district hospitals. Development has to be inclusive. It should not be limited to the Western area. And we think that these facilities will bring about a lot of good for the people out of Freetown, and that is why we are making that effort. In 2019, demographic health survey shows better health outcomes for Sierra Leoneans with a 39% reduction in maternal mortality and 19% reduction in infant mortality. We may not be where we want to be, but we are determined to continue to give our best. That is the spirit of Paupa. Many thought it was not possible, but where there is a will, there will be a will. And we have found a will, and that is how we are delivering even under very difficult circumstances. We pledged in our manifesto to introduce public-private partnerships in health facility management and healthcare service delivery in public hospitals and peripheral health units. At some level, we are already working with private sector partnerships to deliver healthcare. We have operationalized the national ambulance services across all children in the country to support the healthcare delivery. We are piloting a PPP model to support the provision of medicine and medical consumables across hospitals. As we scale up PPPs in providing healthcare services, let us ensure that there is transparency and competition in how partnerships are negotiated. Clarity about outcomes and the quality of services are how the quality of services are delivered, and also effective oversight mechanisms for monitoring, implementation, and funding. As we move toward targets set by the universal health coverage, We have worked on more overarching PPP models for healthcare investment. Sierra Leone spends millions of dollars in foreign countries in search of special care services. The minister already made that reference. Every week I sign a lot of documents just to save few lives in Sierra Leone. We can save more lives by having our own institutions in country. Sierra Leone spends millions of dollars in foreign countries in search of specialty health services because our publicly funded hospitals still need more appropriate infrastructure and equipment and more specialty trained healthcare and other personnel. So it's a holistic approach. We continue to provide infrastructure, we continue to train while working with private sector to provide those services needed for now. What we have negotiated with ESI should make superior and quality clinical service available in country to citizens while adding to the general quality of advanced health infrastructure available in country. The proposed concept of a health village is therefore a welcome one. I'm informed that as per our MOU, Inside Trading Limited will provide 150 beds general hospital that will provide such diagnostic imaging services such as endoscopy, X-ray, MRI, and CT scan. This project will also construct 40 flats for doctors, 50 rooms for nurses, a training facility for medical, nursing, and other allied health professionals, and a 36-bedroom building for people accompanying patients. At the same time, the project will create a minimum of 200 local jobs in Terrytown area. It is hoped that other hospitals will really observe the private sector management practices here in order to adopt more efficient practices for managing public health facilities around the country. In particular, I am interested in the use of an integrated health management information system that will be used effectively to document comprehensive patient care information that can be used across platforms and institutions for providing more integrated and continuous care for patients from hospital to hospital. It is also hoped that the facility will offer improved quality of care and those services will be affordably priced. It is hoped that with the establishment of this comprehensive diagnostic, radiotherapy, and cancer treatment center within the health village, the financial burden on government for overseas medical treatment will be reduced drastically. Equally, it is hoped that Sierra Leone will attract patients from the sub-region and beyond, and thus start reaping some of the knock-on benefits of medical tourism. For instance, it is possible to develop a local economy around medical village that caters for hospitality, cultural tourism, transportation, pharmaceuticals, and other associated services. With my government's focus on building this country's human resources through purposeful reskilling and upskilling, I'm particularly energized by the possibility that our young medical professionals will have an opportunity to work with highly trained professionals in various specialties and also be trained to use cutting-edge technologies in their practice. This is just one of several for providing innovative solutions for our healthcare needs as a nation. In anticipation of yet another step forward in making available quality healthcare services in Sierra Leone, I am therefore pleased to consult for the construction of 150-bed hospital facility here in Kerry Town.
On behalf of the people of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and I have the honor to turn the sword for this facility, a 150-bed facility, head facility. Thank you.
The team lead, Health and Education, UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, Penny Walker Robertson, commended government's leadership for making health a priority. This, she noted, they as an NGO believe that they will see much more progress in the coming years. The opening of an health village is an opportunity to reflect some reforms and how the central can contribute to the overall ambition for universal health coverage.
Always with an eye on the future, and I want to commend the government leadership for making it a priority through such challenging times. I believe this is over and above many of your peers across the continent. Through the recent launch of the Demographic Health Survey, we have seen huge progress in health outcomes. And with Your Excellency's vision, groundbreaking vision for improving human capital as a holistic and integrated focus on health, education and nutrition, we believe we will see much more progress in the coming years. But we all know there's much more to do and further to go. The opening of this health village is an opportunity for us to reflect on the goals that we have for the coming years and how this centre can contribute to the overall ambition for universal health coverage. And that is where we need to set our eyes now. As development partners, we will encourage the Ministry to ensure, as Deputy Minister has said, that this village is firmly integrated within the wider health system. From staffing deployment and training to the important postgraduate medical training that will be required to have the expertise needed in this kind of facility. As the health donor community, we stand ready to partner with you in exploring these challenging questions over the coming years as we build this important health village.
Minister of Health and Sanitation, Professor Alpha Tijanu, said the construction of the health village is the tip of an iceberg within the health sector. The Minister of Health and Sanitation informed the gathering about the different facilities that will be provided in the health village, including 150-bed hospital that will have 40 flats for doctors, 50 rooms for some of the nurses at work, and we also have a hostel facility for those that accompany the sick.
In the Islamic Development Bank told that starting the year 2021, isolation and treatment centers will be built in all districts of Sierra Leone. So we now think we will have a comprehensive response. But through the Leone project, the World Bank has now harnessed a 3.6 million only for us to do one at Lunge. Lunge should be an isolation, a treatment, and an ICU center, a state-of-the-art at Lunge. To complement the airport that we are about to put at Lunge as well. That is the gateway for Sierra Leone. That is one, when people want to access this country, we have to ensure we are able to provide the service. So we will not only use the IDB fund to do an isolation and treatment center in all the districts, we will use the EDC fund to look at Lunge specifically. But that is not exciting. Here we are only talking about addressing the barrier. Let us look at how what we want to do in the clinical services inside. Sir, in the last 3 months, every newspaper, most newspapers, will carry adverts from the Ministry of Health. Why? We are going to rehabilitate 14 district hospitals in the country. Why? We are going to build 8 what we call 3-in-1. For the first time in Sierra Leone, there will be a dental service in the districts. there will be an ophthalmology service in the districts. There will be an EMT service in the district. The year 2020-21 is indeed accelerated delivery for the Ministry of Health. Before the start of the race in June, this work will commence. All 14 district hospitals and 8 hospitals to carry what we call 3-in-1. 3-in-1 ophthalmology, dentistry, and EMT services. If we do all of that put together, one will start to say, where will the team come from? Who are the people that are going to work in those places? You should ask the question that 2 years ago we started anticipating this. So that as I speak, we are talking about the first 200 batch that are trained from SCCHN to SRM to work in all these hospitals at Jalal University who graduate. As I speak, the next 200 from Commerce, and Dr. Samai is here, who will graduate. As I speak, 250 midwives are in the system to graduate to serve the services. This is a talk and no government. A big hand to His Excellency first. What we are putting together here is to get this arena to feel comfortable, is to get this arena to feel safe, is to get this arena to believe that when you vote for a government, it is how much service they can do. Whilst we are about to start the rehabilitation of secondary hospitals, we are completing 8 hospitals that we call rural hospitals. For the first time, sir, there will be a rural hospital at Tonko Nimba. For the first time, there will be a rural hospital at Mambato. One of obviously at ET. Another at YKK in Pujol. And far in Faraba at Masadu and Farabata. There should be 8 of those which Dr. Ali will get your name, but there are 2 others that I could not get in that. Let me say this. 8 rural hospitals to join the one at Georgia, which is actually from the top. The chairman said every month the Ministry of Health is in a position to start the program. I want to say every quarter we will not only inaugurate a turning up, we will not only turn the soil for a facility, but we are going to inaugurate one. Every quarter, there will be a facility to inaugurate. 3 facilities in the western area would be ready in 2021. That's at Waterloo, that's at Macaulay Street, and that's at Longley as well. Sir, we will be asking you, I'm saying we for now, asking you every 3 months to have a slot for the Ministry of Health to be able to join us and inaugurate a facility. People have in fact fought on. You now have, as you say, Isa. You know the name is beautiful. Isa. It's like a beautiful lady, not as beautiful as my wife, but not too bad. That company is going to do a facility. But sir, the Mexico is also linked up with the ministry to do a 100-bed facility of lower Bamara. The Mexico is going to do so. What we are saying now, people are coming out because we believe that the sector is ready to do well. We currently build a nursing and midwifery hospital in Kenya. That should be ready 2021. A nursing and midwifery school. But in this facility, there is land allotted for a nursing and midwifery school for the western area. And we do both. We will get the resource to be able to do a nursing and midwifery school there. If this is a delay, let me tell you now the other facilities that are going to be in this field. Sir, currently the Vice President of ECOWAS, Madam Julia, is the one that pushed this program through. for the ECOWAS, for the economic, the ECOWAS Bank of Investment and Development to engage the Ministry of Health. We have finished the feasibility study. We have done the preliminary diagram. We have also done full appraisal of the document. And an $18 million project is to be taken to the board in April of this year, 2021. If you look on the side, the building you see there is going to be the National Blood Bank. Just turn your eyes towards that. You cannot use X-ray eyes to go through that building. But at the back of that, we have a vaccine that we are going to put oxygen on this side. From the Islamic Development Bank funds, we have already paid $300,000 each for the equipment that will be in that fund. Sir, beyond this building is where we are going to put a cardiovascular and renal center. Never again will we move our people out of this country for dialysis service. We will engage you, sir. So in other words, it was a small one that we now have at corner customer. We have 6 equipment already installed. The reagents would be with us between the month of January, and definitely you will join the incoming minister now to launch the small dialysis unit. I would end by saying that His Excellency has been passionate about radiotherapy and cancer. Turn to the left again and look at the list. That is where we are going to put the bunker for the radiotherapy services. And don't panic with regards to resources. His Excellency has already said he has earmarked $2.5 million from anti-corruption for this program. I have engaged commercial banks, and they want you to accept that they use the dividend for 2019 and 2020, $2 million each for this program. But that, I mean, we require only $4.5 million to build the facility. 2.5 from ACC, $2 million from commercial bank. The therapy center is built. We require $4.5 billion to equip that. The 2020 dividend from commercial bank plus the $2 billion loan that we are going to get from LC and the Israeli company now fulfills the cost for the equipment. The only thing government of Sardinia has to do is $1.5 million for training of our staff to use the radiotherapy center. Even that, give a big hand to Her Excellency the First Lady. Even that, Her Excellency the First Lady had already sent out a team of about 8 people, doctors and some of the nurses as well, to start training on coronavirus.
Viewers, President Julius Maada has participated as one of the co-chairs for this year's high-level replenishment conference on the Peace-Building Fund to mobilize critical support for conflict prevention and peace building against the funds of $1.5 billion United States dollars requirement for the period of 2020 to 2024. The virtual high-level replenishment conference aims to counter the persistent underinvestment in peace building and provide timely catalyst and risk-tolerant instruments with more adequate, predictable and sustainable resources to support national peace building efforts in more than 40 countries across the world. The Peace Building Fund is the United Nations financial instrument of the first resort to sustain peace in countries or situations at risk or affected by violent conflict. The fund's new strategy 2020 to 2024 is its most ambitious yet, responding to the Secretary General's call for a quantum leap of support for peace building and prevention. In his remarks, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres noted that the scale of turmoil around the world requires concerted efforts to ease tensions and prevent further escalation. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres noted that a renewed approach to multilateralism and international cooperation, an approach, he said, that goes beyond crisis response and boosts long-term investment in prevention and peace building, hand in hand with their effort to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals.
To secure a better future, we need to increase support to women and young people as agents for peace and stewards for inclusive development. Without their full participation, neither peace nor prosperity can be sustainable. Today, you will hear from local peace builders like Ms. José Tanibanda from the Central African Republic. While the country continues to face many challenges, I saw during my visit efforts supported by the Peace Building Fund to help stabilize Bambari, which for years had been at the crossroads of conflict, through a strategic combination of cash for work, rehabilitation, socio-economic revitalization, and support to local peace committees. Our experience in countries with peacekeeping missions shows that PBF funding and peace-building commission engagement, when aligned with national and UN priorities, can be invaluable tools. Peace building in fragile contexts requires political courage and leadership at national and local levels, but also the right support at the right time from the international community. We need to take risks for peace and enable stakeholders with the resources and space to seize opportunities. We have a responsibility to bring down the institutional silos and bring together in an agile and responsive manner the full range of United Nations system capacities. And the Peace Building Fund aims to do just that. Its impact and cost effectiveness have been widely recognized and appreciated by the 50 nations it has supported. Yet, we continue to massively underinvest in it. The fund prioritizes areas that may otherwise be considered too risky or that are chronically underfunded, notably engaging women and youth and cross-border and regional initiatives. It mobilizes vital additional funding at national and regional levels. And over the past 3 years, for each dollar invested through the fund, countries have mobilized almost $8 additional for peace building. It fosters joint action across the United Nations system, from needs analysis to coordinated planning in support of national priorities. And it also enables partnerships with a wide range of stakeholders, from civil society actors to regional organizations and the World Bank, often kick-starting initiatives that others can scale up.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said with additional resources, the fund will also be uniquely placed to promote coordination between the United Nations and other development partners, significantly during periods of mission startup. The United Nations Secretary General said that early and reliable funding by the fund is also essential in transition settings where large peacekeeping operations are drawing down.
As part of the United Nations comprehensive response to COVID-19, the PBF quickly responded to the risks and tensions heightened by the pandemic, working with regional partners and resident coordinators to adjust ongoing programs as needed and respond to emerging prevention priorities. As the medium-term effects of the pandemic become more apparent, it is more important than ever to ensure the fund is adequately and predictably resourced. Many member states recognize these, as acknowledged by the twin resolutions of the General Assembly and the Security Council on the 2020 Peacebuilding Architecture Review. In 2020, the Peacebuilding Fund mobilized over $180 million, an important sign of the trust the fund has garnered over the years and its demonstrated ability to deliver in the most difficult contexts. But its resources are now depleted. We must urgently replenish it. Doing so will save lives and serve as a clear demonstration of multilateral support. So far this cycle, only 24 member states have contributed, with 4 of them accounting for 70% of total resources. If all member states and partners contributed even a small amount to the fund, we will finally accomplish the much-needed quantum leap and send a clear signal to the world. Together, we can successfully invest in building and sustaining peace.
Viewers, President Julius Maada will thank the United Nations and Canada in particular on behalf of the government and the people of Sierra Leone for the tremendous impact of the Peace Building Fund in consolidating and sustaining peace in Sierra Leone through 5 peaceful democratic election cycles and transitions. The impact of COVID-19, President Bio highlighted, has exacerbated existing social inequalities in the world, eroded cohesion, and accelerated conflicts. There is therefore increased demand for peace-building support in various nations. However, the resources available to consolidate and sustain peace are mega and under investment risks, reversing hard-won gains.
I'm therefore heartened that for the first time, this comprehensive 5-year peace-building fund strategy sets out a bold vision for significantly scaling up work on conflict prevention and peace building. I'm hopeful that under its new strategy, the fund will maintain its niche for providing timely, catalytic, and risk-tolerant support for peace building as mandated in its terms of reference. The emphasis on regional and multi-country peace building, women and youth inclusion, and other peacekeeping and peace-building transitions is welcome. So also is the emphasis on institutionalizing PM learning and experience sharing, and to incentivize coherent work across institutional mandates for the United Nations system to work jointly in support of national efforts. Mr. Secretary General and Co-Chair, since the end of the Civil War, and especially since 2007, Sierra Leone has benefited immensely from the catalytic impact of the Peace-Building Fund. The PBF supported and is still supporting a wide range of peace-building and governance initiatives in Sierra Leone, including institution building for inclusive democratic governance, election and peaceful democratic transitions, national cohesion, community conflict prevention and resolution, inter-community dialogues, access to justice, protection of human rights, improved security sector coordination, and youth and gender empowerment and inclusion. As Sierra Leone exits the formal agenda for the Peace-Building Commission, we are continuing to consolidate and strengthen our democratic and human rights institutions, foster inclusive, accountable governance, collaborate closely with civil society and communities, promote access to justice, improve the security and disaster management sectors, make our institutions more accountable and resilient, and implement strategic activities for inclusive and sustainable development as mapped out in our medium-term National Development Plan. We have significantly lowered the risk profile of our nation, made the investment ecosystem more conducive, and invested in human capital development and critical infrastructure projects. We organized a national consultative conference on peace and national cohesion just under 2 years ago, and Parliament has since then passed a law that establishes a permanent and independent National Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Sierra Leone will remain engaged with the PBC in implementing the national priorities of human capital development, economic diversification, climate resilience, strengthening national institutions, developing and supporting the Independent Commission for Peace on Peace and National Cohesion, and supporting our nation's COVID-19 response and recovery efforts. Our nation's story has been possible partly because of the investment by the Peace-Building Commission. I therefore call on all UN member states to both renew their commitments to the United Nations peace-building effort and to mobilize adequate, predictable, and sustainable financing for peace building through a broadened and donor base. In that regard, as a token of our renewed commitment, Sierra Leone pledges $200,000 United States per year over the 5-year period to the peace-building effort of the United Nations.
Viewers, more to come in this edition of the Presidency. The chairperson of the African Union Commission has described Sierra Leone as a stable country amidst the challenges the country had gone through. Musa Faki Mahama made this commendation during a courtesy call on President Biya State House. The visit, according to the African Union chairperson, was to share the ideas of the African Union with the President and to also commend the government for its strides in the fight against COVID-19. The ideas of the African Union are to promote unity and solidarity among African states, coordinate and intensify their cooperation and efforts to achieve a better life for the peoples of Africa, and to defend their sovereignty and their territorial integrity and independence. This has been his goal, to visit member states, but it was somehow deferred due to COVID-19 outbreak. His office is very committed to the African agenda, the reason why he has commenced such visits to exchange ideas with the different heads of state and commend the resilience of the people of Sierra Leone for facing difficult challenges, especially the coronavirus pandemic. Musa Faki Mahama commended President Biya for his stringent measures in the fight against COVID-19.
It's a privilege, but also it's a responsibility. We launched a very important project to realize this integration of the continent, the AfCFTA, for example. We are facing this terrible pandemic. Its socio-economic consequences are terrible. And about this pandemic, I can say all of you, head of state, shown a leadership. We had our joint strategy, but in every African country, head of state decided, and I read 2 days ago that we decided to take some measures to prevent maybe the worsening situation. And I can reassure you, at the level of the Commission and with the Bureau, we are following, and we're supposed to meet after tomorrow on the leadership of President Ramaphosa to update member states on what we are doing about vaccines. We know that COVAX maybe will give us 20% what we need for Africa. They said maybe it could begin April, end of March, maybe in April. And we set up a task team, especially for vaccines, with President Ramaphosa. We discussed with manufacturers, particularly with Pfizer, Zeneca, and Johnson & Johnson. Right now, we got about 270 million doses for Africa. So if we add what we will get from COVAX plus what we get with these manufacturers, it's about 35%. It is not enough, because specialists say we need to reach 60%, maybe to reach this collective immunity. So I think it's a stake. It is also possible for member states bilaterally to get vaccines. Excellency, it is a very important. We also work on the issue of debt, African debts.
President Julius Maada commended the chairperson for the visit, adding that Africa is faced with difficult circumstances, but that the African Union president has done a great job. President Biya said there is a sign of hope in the continent, especially in the case of Sierra Leone, from war, Ebola, mudslide, and coronavirus pandemic. His government is working very hard to consolidate peace across the country. The reason his government is also putting strategy in place for the establishment of a peace commission.
In as much as we are all concerned about peace in Sierra Leone, we have put together this particular commission to pay keen attention to fundamental grievances that can easily evolve and lead to serious conflagration within our country. So this is a specialized body of eminent people watching to detect and to diffuse any sign of grievances or anything that could lead to challenges that can put us apart again. We have also embraced democracy as a way to go forward. We have worked very hard on the judiciary, peace and justice. As you know, we had, at the end of the war, we were able to put the Truth and Reconciliation Commission together. And we identified the various triggers that led to the 11-year war. So we have been addressing all of these, including the economy, development, the lack of development, and the way the benefits of development are shared. These are all things that we have put together, and we are addressing all of these. We are making progress. We are a much united country today. Of course, we do get our social upheavals around politics from time to time. But, I mean, recent happenings around the world can tell you that even democracy itself can be fragile. Although we embrace democracy to be a stronger nation. But democracy must be nurtured. And in as much as in countries where we've had centuries of democracy, they still have challenges, and we should continue to work to make sure that we consolidate the gains we've made and never to go back to war as a way of settling our differences. So we are making efforts, and we are considered one of the peaceful countries in Africa. Of course, we are paying more, our preoccupation at this point in time is actually economic development. We want to inject growth. We want to grow the economy, to reduce the number of our young people who go unemployed for a very long time. Africa, of course, is experiencing the youth bulge. It could be a blessing if we train them to be useful to themselves and to their communities, and then to our countries. It could be a serious problem if we do not provide the means of livelihood for them. So that is a huge challenge. My government took the human capital development as the main thrust of our development. And here we have defined that to mean education, quality education for all, good healthcare, good and affordable healthcare for all, and food security. I believe that a well-educated person with good health and also good food security can fend for themselves. So we know that the lack of education, the lack of good health and food security is necessary these are all necessary to address. And that is why we have put it together to mean human capital development. Of course, all the other 17 SDGs are important, but we think that this has a multiplier effect and lays the foundation for achieving the others. So we are paying attention to all, and of course the African Union agenda for 2030. We believe that 2063. We believe that if we can make progress on these, we can better the lives of our people, secure peace, and make progress. So we are making efforts to make sure that we have a society that is well educated, that can feed itself, and is healthy. That way, even the economic development, everybody can be a meaningful part of that process and contribute to national development. We are making sure that nobody is left behind. The women are involved in this. We have provided more safe spaces for women. We have been addressing issues about trafficking in person. We have been addressing issues concerning rape and also the empowerment of women. So, and also equality challenges facing women in Africa. So, it's a whole gamut of challenges that we have to deal with in order to get out of the difficult situation we find ourselves. But it is a challenge that we must take on, and we have taken that on.
President Julius Maada has inspected farm machines and equipment worth over $10 million procured for the agriculture sector. The different types of machines include tractors, harvesters, planters, and tillers that will be distributed in various districts across the country to support agriculture. Agriculture is one of the New Direction government flagship projects to improve food sufficiency across the country. The reason why the government is working very hard to support the sector. The visit of President Julius Maada was to get first-hand information about the procured items by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security. The President told the different warehouses to inspect the different machines that have been procured, which the ministry is about to distribute to the different districts. After the conducted tour, he also addressed the authorities and stakeholders in charge, and this is what he had to say.
This is a signal that we are serious about agriculture, and we are creating a supportive environment for the farmers, so they don't have any more reason to say they don't have machines. It has been a constant grumble for mechanization. So now we have made the very first step, and it is left for us as a country to actually use these machines effectively and efficiently to increase our yield over the next few years. Now we just want to say thank you to Una. Now don't do a great job, but the better job now we will begin produce rice. We're not for the import rice now. We have no business importing rice also.
Yes, sir.
So you and a driver, if you can change your skills and small for know how to operate the machine. You know, you and an electrician, if you know how to, you know, provide maintenance service for the machine that you can find also. We know for import rice again also. So with the left that opening on our hand, yeah?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now government you effort this. And when I say for making your effort, I'm glad you when I say we're ready for work. Yeah, well, as time to go then go fix another zone. So maybe look at that way there. I'm glad you for sooner.
Acting Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Dr. Abubakar Karim, commended the government, especially the Ministry of Finance, and for their quick intervention in making sure that the machines are procured on time. Dr. Karim disclosed that the inspection by President Julius Maada was to see for himself the types of machines that have been procured for farmers to do proper farming in terms of boosting the agricultural sector.
Having me. We're here today. We actually requested His Excellency the President to come and do an inspection of the fleet of machines that his government had actually procured over the last couple of periods. So obviously His Excellency was quite impressed with the fleets of machines we have here. This will only go to boosting the agriculture sector and particularly to improving the food security situation that we have in the country. We have the range of machines ranging from Massey Ferguson, Case, Sonilika. We have about 110 tractors, 2,410 implement that goes along with those tractors. And we also have other equipments like planters, sprayers, boom sprayers, and so on and so forth. All of this goes towards complementing the agriculture sector. And I think with this fleet of machines, we have no reason why we shouldn't improve on our food security.
So when are you going to start distribution?
The distribution will start in earnest immediately. So viewers will be seeing machines or trailers crisscrossing the country. But this is pre-positioning all these machines in various ecologies. We've already identified about 7 locations, and they are going to be going there as machine ring component. So each location we have a set of machine ranging from land preparation all the way to harvest, post-harvesting. Tonkolili, Bo, Kenema, Moyamba, Cambia, Mutloko, Kono, so Bombali. I mean, we pretty much cater for all the districts, and within those, the location is not so much, but within those locations, it also cater for maybe one location will serve 2 districts, but this is just the beginning, and the idea is that these machine rings are going to be taken over by private sector players. The cost of the machine range in something like about 10 million,
$10 million
dollars, yes, for us to get all these machines here. And I also want to thank the Minister of Finance, Mr. Safa, for his determination and support in ensuring that we are able to procure all these machines. Well, like we said, it's going to be a machine ring component, and they are going to be distributed immediately. They are going to be moved to those locations. When they are there, what will happen is that as a government, we as a ministry now will be supporting our farmers by providing them with vouchers, which they will actually take to the machine ring operators in order to be able to access the services that they need. And this will be happening not just for machines, same will go for seeds, same will go for fertilizer, which are all the components that actually goes to us increasing our productivity.
Viewers, finally in this edition of the presidency, President Julius Maada has attended the state funeral of the late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, the first president of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, who passed away on the 12th November 2020. He was 73 years old. The former president, Jerry Rawlings, has been laid to rest after a funeral service in Accra's Independence Square. Jerry John Rawlings was a Ghanaian military officer and politician who led the country from 1981 to 2001. He led a military junta until 1992 and then served 2 terms as the democratically elected president of Ghana. In his tribute to the late former president of Ghana, President Julius Maada stated that although tributes never remove the sting of a hero's passing, they help us remember what they cannot undo about their lives and their impact on society. The late President Jerry John Rawlings was a friend, a mentor, a statesman whose voice and deeds continue to inspire him. Recalling his personal relationship with the late Ghanaian leader, President Julius Maada noted that he will always remember his advice that when a nation is broken and vulnerable, when injustice is rife, leaders must make it their life's mission to stand up for the ordinary man. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Well, viewers, that's all we have to bring you in this edition of the presidency. Thanks for your company, and I'm glad you could join me. My name is Awa Mosiri, and I'll be back next week here from State House with more about the work of the president and his lieutenants in the new direction administration. But make sure you continue to adhere to all precautionary measures of COVID-19.